All right, good morning. It is 9 a.m. The 5th day of August, 2025. We are in the County Court at Law courtroom located at 2718 Highway 35 North, Rockport, Texas, 78382, and I call this workshop meeting to order. Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney is absent. Commissioner Casterline,
Here.
Commissioner Russo, Commissioner Dupnick,
Here.
Judge Garza.
Here. We've got 4 members. We've got a quorum. Item number 1, general discussion of the 2026 budget with elected official department heads. And we are going to go over allocating the HOP funds. Is Judy? Come on up, Judy.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
My name's Judy Sutterfield. My address is 804 Trailer Avenue. I'm here today representing KACB. First, I'd like to thank y'all for your support. Our goals for the 26 HOP funds will mirror our efforts from the past few years. KACB hosts several cleanups engaging volunteers throughout the community. We annually host cleanups, most notably in the Cove Harbor area near Copano Bridge and along the shoreline of Little Bay, along with the bird islands within Little Bay. The Little Bay Island cleanup is unique in that we must secure permission to access the islands due to the bird population. We work hand in hand with coastal bends, bays, and estuaries to clean the summer's trash off the island, but also help with reconstruction of nest and other housekeeping items in regards to the birds' safety. This is always scheduled in November to accommodate the bird seasons. And I know Commissioner Russo has commented about it's either really, really hot or really, really cold the first week of November. It's never the same. We never know what we're going to get. But even more important is how the HOP funds help us to help local organizations and their groups volunteer for cleanups. For example, this year we've had cleanups scheduled with the following groups and organizations. And keep in mind that our year, we do most of our work after the summer because the weather is more conducive. And then we come back around in the next year and do January through, say, June. But during the hot summer months, we don't accomplish a lot other than support other groups that that's their time to do cleanups. So the Navy Junior ROTC, Chief Solace always has his students out several times a year doing a cleanup. And KACB volunteers are there to help organize, supply, monitor, and discard the waste collected. Other Rockport Fulton ISD groups, such as the Science Club and Student Honor Society, as well as some other groups within the school district, also depend on us to help supply their needs in regards to grabbers and bags and gloves and vests and just safety items and logistics support. We've recently teamed up with HEB. They have the Red Team, and we also help them meet their community and environmental efforts. We've had some HOAs sign on recently. One this year, the Cell House Way is a new group for the 2025 cleanups, and a large number of their residents band together to clean. We cleaned around the Fulton Beach Road. And then they also had several in kayaks that went out into the marshes. And, you know, it's really unusual, or it's really weird because as you drive down, you don't see the trash. But when you walk down and look, maybe just over the grass line, it is just amazing the amount of trash that you pick up on a road that looks fairly clean. We've had some new groups in the 2025 year that we think will be a repeat. One of these was a running group called She Runs This Town. These ladies and some of their supporting gentlemen ran the Copano Bridge and then did a cleanup under the bridge. During this last cleanup there, it was evident that folks were using this area as a tire and car parts dump. Luckily, these ladies were up to the task in wrestling the debris and getting it closed up. So items that I've mentioned are the types of programs that KACB focuses the expenditure of HOP funds. Other than supplies, we also purchase marketing items as well as refreshments for the groups. KACB also tries to either sponsor or join in other environmental projects throughout the county. A few examples of these would be tire turn-in events, electronic recycling, vessel turn-in, as well as take part in educational events like Goose Island State Park to speak about litter and how it affects wildlife, which ties directly into our turtle rescue efforts. So that is how we utilize the money that y'all provide to us, the funds that you provide to us. We feel like we've done a good job of trying to get other organizations involved because there's just not enough volunteers per se for an event because everybody has things scheduled and let's face it, there's a lot funner things to do than pick up trash. So we're dependent on trying to engage organizations. And so that's where our focus is helping the organizations have the supplies and the logistics for doing cleanups. So any questions that I can answer?
No questions, but thank you for listing all of the groups with whom you do cooperate, because that's pretty impressive. I had no idea. I knew the ROTC kids worked with you and some of the science kids from the high school. That's very good, and it certainly is a great use of the small resource that we give you. So
That's
thank you.
awesome, and we appreciate it. One thing that did happen, and I think the years, like I said, our year is split, so it's hard for me to remember what happened in which year. But one of our biggest successes is the school district had a Water Week curriculum, and at the end of Water Week, they brought out over 100 kids, and we split them up between Copano Bridge and the Little Bay area. So we had over 100 of our kids out there cleaning up. So that's, I think that's a big thing.
I think so too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for presenting and definitely get a lot of bang for that buck. All right, Miss Karen.
Thank you, Judge and Commissioners. My name is Karen Ernst. I'm Executive Director at Rockport Center for the Arts, here requesting funding to support our marketing and advertising initiatives for the year. I've given you a copy of the presentation for the screen. I think Colin is working on. This is just a more screen-friendly version of the application packet. Okay, next page. Can I click it with this? All right.
It's always a question.
There we go. Okay. Rockport Center for the Arts is a vital cultural anchor in our community dedicated to enriching lives and strengthening the local economy through robust multidisciplinary arts programming. From visual art exhibitions and hands-on workshops to culinary classes, live music, and 2 major festivals, RCA provides a year-round calendar of dynamic events that attract both residents and cultural tourists. Did you know? Oops, I think it went too far. There we go. Investments in the arts strengthen our community and fuel economic growth. Arts and culture tourists stay longer and spend more money than leisure tourists. The arts and culture industry is growing. Taxable revenue from the core arts and culture industry has grown by 63% since 2010, and today generates $7.3 billion for the Texas economy. Our tourism data. For all visitors to the gift shop and gallery, we ask them, what is your zip code? Are you staying in overnight lodging facilities? And if so, how many nights are you staying? From that data, in the last 12 months, between July 1st, 2024 and June 30th, 2025, RCA served 45,528 visitors, and the tourists reported 29,071 room nights. This is lower than a normal year because of Hurricane Beryl last year in July that cut the art festival attendance, as well as a big portion of the month of July. This is a graphic presentation of that tourism data that is collected. You can see the distribution across the state of Texas is growing. We're very proud of this one. This is the 50 states. All 50 states have toured the Art Center in the last 12 months. And we also experience an international reach, as you can see here. This too is a growing distribution. What are the tourists coming to do? They're coming to view our visual art exhibitions, participate in our live music series, culinary arts classes, workshops and classes, the Rockport Film Festival, the Rockport Art Festival. Oh no, there we go. This is just a graphic representation of some of these programs that our tourists are coming to participate in. Coming up in the HEB gallery, we have Lisa Bear Frederick on exhibit at the start of the year. Todd Saunders is a neon artist of the stars, as it were, out of Austin. Will begin in March. Genevieve will be joining us later in the spring. She's a marine conservation artist. We're very excited about the possible partnership opportunities when Genevieve is here. Our summer feature, we have just announced the 2026 master artist, Elena Rons. Following that exhibit, Dirta Weber is a fiber artist from San Antonio. And then we will close out the curated exhibition schedule with our favorite, Steve Russell, one of the founding members of the Art Association. We also, minute went too. Not very good with the clicker. We also have our live music series, which is growing. And as I've reported in the quarterly reports, we're seeing an uptick in our tourism data for those concerts. This fall, we have a 5-event season, 4 concerts and a performance. We're going to start off in September with Kimmy Rhodes. In October, we have 2 Tons of Steel with their Buddy Holly show. In November, the Ian Moore Band will take the stage. And for Christmas in December, the Axiom String Quartet will be performing holiday favorites. One new activity happening in this series is a dance performance. Also happening in October, Ballet Nepantla is performing their Mystica. It is a blend of traditional ballet folklorico and contemporary dance. So we're very excited to feature that. We had a opportunity to schedule them, and this will be a new possible tradition for Dias de los Muertos for us. We also have engaging culinary arts programming. This is just a little sampling of what's coming up this fall. And lots of classes and workshops. Again, this is just a little sampling of the type of programming you'll see. Sorry, it doesn't respond all the time. Here we go. And that's not all. Also happening in addition to those programs, we have the Silver Meltdown Jewelry Show that'll be happening later this year in November. It's a fall tradition, as is the Rockport Film Festival. And as you all know, the Rockport Art Festival and so many more smaller events throughout the year that didn't make the presentation. So we're requesting funds to support our comprehensive marketing plan. RCA plans to invest in a comprehensive marketing plan designed to elevate Rockport as a premier cultural destination, utilizing a blend of traditional and contemporary strategies, including print, radio, broadcast media, social media, search engine marketing, targeted online placements, and more. We know we've got 2 different audiences to reach, a more traditional audience and a new audience that isn't engaging in our traditional media. So we're trying to capture a very broad net of approach. This multi-platform approach allows us to reach a broad and diverse audience, from longtime cultural travelers to new generations of visitors seeking unique and enriching experiences. This is just a graphic representation of what that marketing plan looks like on a spreadsheet. You can see the different types of programming that we're advertising. This is just page one, but you can see it's really planned out very logically in advance so we can purchase ideal placement in various publications. It doesn't like me.
No, it doesn't like anyone.
There we go. Okay. We believe our marketing plan is working, and here's why. Our collected data shows that in just the first 6 months of 2025, visitors from all 50 states toured Rockport Center for the Arts Gallery and Gift Shop. This is a milestone that used to take 12 calendar months to achieve. Now we've done it in 6 months this year. State tourism is also strengthening. The percentage of Texas counties represented among our visitors grew 10% in the past year, reaching 57% of all counties attending the gallery and gift shop. Over the prior year's 40%, 47% of all counties represented it. So that's a pretty nice statistic, a 10% increase in 1 year. Additionally, visitors traveling from more than 75 miles away accounted for more than 43% of our total attendance in the first half of this calendar year. RCA's programming is driving cultural tourism and economic vitality for Rockport and the Coastal Bend region. RCA respectfully requests $45,000 in HOT funding to support our comprehensive marketing plan so that we can continue to draw tourism and economic development to our community. And thank you. We appreciate your support and the support of all the nonprofits that help make this a special place.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. Are there any questions or?
I'm just excited for all the programming. So it's 45,000?
45. I see you've
What?
got 40 on there. I'm an optimist. You know, if those hotel numbers are strong, we will put the money to good work.
I would just say I don't attend all of the functions, but I attend a lot of them. And I can see, like you said, that there's a growing diversity in who is attending. I mean, you see a lot more younger people and not the traditional local folks, which is good to see the local folks too.
Yeah.
But I think you definitely are hitting your stride, and I commend you and your staff.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
No other questions?
Mr. Cole? Morning, sir.
Judge, Commissioners, thank y'all for supporting Fulton Oyster Fest. And we are gearing up for our 47th annual Fulton Oyster Fest. It's going to be held March 5th through the 8th. Last year, believe it or not, was one of the slowest years we've had since Hurricane Harvey. We had approximately 27,000 people come through the gate versus we would usually have between 30 and 32,000. Last year, we sold 42,000 oysters or 420 sacks. Versus the year before that, we sold 60,000 oysters or 600 sacks. Our numbers were down this year, and we believe the reason is because Mother Nature. The norther that hit Saturday right before dark was supposed to hit about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, it hit about 6:30 in the afternoon. So all our outside people that were dressed for the evening shorts left. I mean, it got cold. We still had our inside the tent, but outside, I mean, it just dropped off big time. But we cannot control Mother Nature, so we just have to make up for it. Where we advertise channel 3, 10, and 6, Corpus Market, KFTX 97.5, Corpus Market, KIKS 108, Victoria Market, KKYX San Antonio Market, 105.7 Texas Knockout, Beeville Market. Something new we did this year, and it's really hard to tell if it works since our numbers were down, but instead of putting banners up over the highway, we rented 3 billboards for 3 months, starting in December. One of them was on 37 at the Three Rivers exit. One of them was on 181 Floresville, both of them south. And then we had the one up in Fulton on the corner of Cactus and 35. According to the sign company, the two in San Antonio has about 25,000 cars a day driving by. And the one in Fulton, believe it or not, has about 18,000 cars a day. We're going to try that again. Like I said, we can't, like I predict Mother Nature, but we got to keep moving forward. Something else we're proud of is the support, the nonprofits that we support. All our food booths are nonprofit. Other fire departments, churches, school groups. We also use the school groups in several places on the grounds. We have this last year, we had the maritime group pick up trash. We had the dance team. They did the tables. We had ROTC. They helped with the oyster table and to sell drinks. And then we have another group, I believe it was the science group, that we use them just wherever we need them. It's, you never know, something, and we may, someone may not show up for a shift or something, and we pay them very well. So we're looking forward to the 47th annual Oyster Fest. What our goals are. Since 2017, since Harvey hit, we have made our first major purchase last year. And that was with the ladder truck we bought out of New York for $380,000. Before that, Hurricane Harvey really kicked us in the you-know-where. We've had to rebuild two fire trucks that insurance would not cover because of a natural disaster. Read your insurance policy. We've got that covered now, but anyway, so we are just now getting back on track from Hurricane Harvey. So yes, we bought this ladder truck, a used ladder truck out of New York. Now, 47th Annual Oyster Fest, we are going to send this ladder truck back to the factory to totally be upgraded to today's standards and to be painted blue. Why used? A new ladder truck is $2.5 to $3 million and 2 to 3 years lead time on getting it built. With this truck, we can get 15 to 20 years out of it and be in it by the time we get it refurbished for less than $1 million. So also, you know, Harvey took away the Copano Cove Fire Station. We recently rebuilt that, part of our Rebuild Harvey plan. And that was our last project. And that was done last year. So we do have a truck out in Copano. So Copano is well taken care of. Last year, I believe the Commissioner's Court gave us $5,000, and we would ask for that again. Thank y'all, and I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Cole.
Actually, I think we allocated 10,000.
Oh, 10,000?
I was gonna say.
Okay.
How do you go for that?
But if you want 5, we'll do that.
No, I'd love to have 10.
Because Karen needs that other.
So Russell, even though you had a slow year last year, how much did you end up being able to raise for the fire department?
We ended up with we grossed a little over 300,000. With the reserves that we had, we were able to give the fire department $200,000 this year, where usually it's 300,000. And luckily, you know, we had the reserve because like I said, Harvey really hurt us, hurt everybody, but you know, and you know, getting back from that. So now we can move forward with our plans that we had in 2017 moving forward. So, you know, we cannot predict Mother Nature. We just have to accept it and hope we can do better next year.
Well, I know
Right.
one thing with, even though you're Fulton Volunteer Fire Department, y'all serve the whole county. And
Yes, we have
they're-
mutual aid with the whole county.
You're right.
I'm gonna tell you how lucky this county is to have the 3 fire departments that they have. It's amazing what these volunteers do and what they go through to be a volunteer and not get paid. It's amazing. You know, I don't fight fire much anymore, but you know, I've been a member of the volunteer fire department since I was 16. I just turned 62. So I'm more on the money raising side and helping them get what they need to succeed. But the schools these guys go to, the training they go through on their time and sometimes on their dollar. You know, sometimes they pay their own motel rooms just to be able to go to school to learn to help our community. So
Thank you.
Good.
thank you.
Appreciate it. We got Cody Stewart on Zoom. Mike, were you gonna help him out or?
Yeah, I'm here to
Oh.
support.
Oh, okay.
In case you know you need something.
And that's.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
No,
Morning.
It's not Wings Over Rock.
Oh, it's not.
Warbirds.
Warbirds. I'm sorry. It's not on here.
Good morning. Can y'all hear me?
Fly-in, Warbirds.
Yes, we
Yeah.
can hear you.
Good morning. I apologize for not being there in person, but I do appreciate the opportunity to speak on the Zoom call. So we're here again to request funding help for our marketing initiatives. Last year, we spent our money with the Persona marketing team, who did a phenomenal job building our new website that we are restructuring for this year. But the bones are in place to where that's not a huge initiative this year, but we're expanding our online and direct marketing campaigns along with new promotional materials. But we are asking a little bit above and beyond from last year because we had enough budget last year to film a commercial, not just for the Warbird event, but for that included all of the Aransas County attraction flair. And I think Colin may have that commercial for y'all to review. But we need to redo that commercial in 2026 with more headlining aircraft that we bring to the event, along with more highlights to the community. And so we had to spend budget that we didn't count for last year with bringing airplanes in September, a filming crew, hotel rooms and meals and fuel to film that commercial. But it was a huge hit on the campaign trail. So I don't know if Colin has that commercial, but if he does, I would love for y'all to see that we're going to redo in 2026. And this is last year's version that went live.
He has it. Do you want to play it now?
Adams Aviation invites your family and friends to make a special trip to Rockport Fulton on November 16th and 17th for the free Warbirds over South Texas fly-in. Make it a weekend getaway. Enjoy fresh seafood, beaches, fishing, shopping, art, culture, and the Coastal Bend's largest aviation experience in 2024. Witness dozens of historical airplanes up close and sounds of freedom in honor of our veterans. Visit stxwarbirds.com for event schedule, where to stay, and more. Don't miss Warbirds over South Texas, a free family-friendly event.
Can you do it again?
And so
Please.
So what we're trying to do, and what we also tell the city of Rockport, we are trying to anchor the season in Q4. So if we were to do our air show, then we're just cannibalizing people who are already there. So our
Acts Aviation invites your family and friends to make a special trip to Rock
But also,
Hold off a minute, Cody.
Free Warbirds over South Texas flying. Make it a weekend getaway. Enjoy fresh seafood, beaches, fishing, shopping, art, culture, and the Coastal Bend's largest aviation experience in 2024. Witness dozens of historical airplanes up close and sounds of freedom in honor of our veterans. Visit stxwarbirds.com for event schedule, where to stay, and more. Don't miss Warbirds over South Texas, a free family-friendly event.
That is a pretty nice commercial. Yeah.
so it was professionally done. It was a huge hit on clicks. I don't have those specifics for you, but what we are trying to do and what we taught the city of Rockport too is if we were to have our fly-in, and we're well on our way to an air show status, is that we want to anchor the Q4 off season for Aransas County to where we're bringing in people who follow these historical airplanes, but also can experience Rockport in the off.
Well, he's saying Q4 off season. That's a little bit of industry speak. Q4 is generally when the air show and large scale fly-in crowd are taking their break from maintenance. But they're doing maintenance year round, and so really what Cody has basically stumbled onto is an opportunity to be the only show in that time of year and during that time of year. So that some of the largest names in air show and fly-ins in South Texas or in the Southern United States really are finding now or putting this on their calendar more and more. So it's growing every single year, not exponentially, but the large percentages. And but we don't want it to grow exponentially because it's a crawl, walk, run process. The goal is to get to an air show. I think we were a little ambitious initially and thought maybe we could do that in 3 years. It's probably going to be closer to 7 or 8 years before we can get it done. We have some restrictions with airspace, with the fact that we have so many homes that have encroached near the airport. You can't really create the big aviation box that you need to have an air show right there. We could do it at the beach probably all day long. We could coordinate with NAV to do that if we ever pivot that direction, and that's still on the table. To go back to how the air shows used to be, but it would be nice to have it over the field and have everybody in one spot and not have to have people go back and forth with the static display at the airport and then the air show at the beach. And then when you also consider that the goal is to keep these things free and not charge for parking or for the admission or anything else, and your goal is to focus on education and then drawing people into town obviously for it, but focusing on that education factor with the Friday for the school districts having them out. We don't want to add a monetary component to it, and it does cost money to get on the beach, and so while most of us have a beach pass, there's still going to be people that pull up there that don't have one. I'm not trying to take any money away from the NAV district on the beach, but we want to try to keep it as no charge as possible. So anyway, speaking of the marketing, that's what the increase request is for 2026 is to be able to take the marketing to the next level, presumably a Facebook blast. And Cody talked about getting a lot of clicks, a lot of likes, a lot of clicks. It did get a lot of activity the last commercial did. So very, very impressive commercial, good work. And I would imagine that we will shoot footage for 2026's commercial at the November event this year. So
Nice.
happy to answer any more questions.
No, I think I've been to every
You have
to every fly-in, and
You have.
I see the quality improving and the enthusiasm of the folks who come. And so in good weather or bad weather, folks are showing up. I've gone to a few other events like that's El Brother
Yes.
airplane that they brought into Corpus Christi, and folks there, some of them know about our fly-ins and are looking forward to coming, and others were real excited to hear that we're doing that. So I know the Commemorative Air Force Central Texas Wing is very supportive of this effort.
They very much are. And you're going to get planes that are down for maintenance at any show you do. But last year we did get a lot of new planes. And this year is going to be a lot of new planes as well. Putting on the EMC hat for just a second, I'll let you know that I typically, if there's an event at the airport, I typically write the emergency action plan myself. I'll vet it through the Allegiance, the fire departments. We'll have online Zoom meetings about it. But I encourage the commissioners, any large scale event that's presented to you, that you're being asked for, to allocate funds for, consider asking about the emergency action plan for that event. It's important that they submit that to me or to the court at some point or for review. And then we can maybe look for weaknesses or try to strengthen that emergency action plan. But I think too often we have events around here and there's no plan. So I'd encourage you to do that.
Good
Thank-
advice.
Thanks, Cody, if you're listening. Oh,
Thank you for the time and consideration.
thanks, Cody. I'm gonna go down the list here. Maritime Museum, Michael. I saw you getting too comfortable, so I was like, yeah.
Yeah, literally just walked in, so thank you so much. Well, first and foremost, again, thank you so much for just allowing us to come here today, just to talk a little bit more about the museum. So before I get into all of this, I would like to just kind of back up and just say, this last year was my first year. So I actually started in May 2024. So this last year was rather remarkable. Prior to me arriving here, I was the deputy director for the Key West Harry S. Truman Foundation. We made this shift to come back to Texas because this is home. But I fell in love with the museum, and so did my wife. But what we noticed was that on day 2 of me being on the job, that we needed to make some shifts, some changes. And so with the support of the board, the staff, and we went to work. And we started, and on all aspects. We started looking at all aspects of the organization, evaluating what we're doing, how we're doing it, the impact we're making. And we looked at everything between policies and procedures, the education department, to the exhibits, to fundraisers. And we started going to work. And the thing is that we saw success across the board, across the entire board, which is almost unheard of. But I wanted to come in today just to kind of give you, not speech and rhetoric, I wanted to give you facts, give you details on all the amazing things that we're doing. So this last year, just the education department alone, this is under Shelley Nossman, the education department actually saw 3 different camps, 278 campers, 20 presenters, 918 in attendance to those presenters. Shelley had 42 different programs and 2 new ones. Total 4,996 in attendees over the course of the year. That was 22% increase compared to the previous year, 22%. But we saw the same increase across the board. Again, this is just one example. So the exhibits, we actually had 3 new exhibits come in this last year. But what it did was that it created an awareness factor, and we actually saw the increase in general attendance. 27% increase in our general mission, general attendance. But when we started to dive deeper into that, what we found out was 83% of the general attendance was from 75 miles or further out. 83%. That means 17% of our attendance came from within the 75-mile bubble, from Corpus Christi, Victoria, Port Lavaca, that little semicircle bubble. But when we dove deeper, no pun intended, into the 83%, we found out that these families, these individuals that are coming to the museum, we found out that they came from 3 different countries, 44 different states, not including Washington, D.C., and California, depending on your perspective. So, but we noticed the same trending effect even with our memberships. We saw a 79% increase in our memberships. Again, we reevaluated everything. In fact, our membership program was the one that we actually went right back to the scratch, drawing board. We saw a 79% increase in our memberships over the course of this last year. The fact is that what's happening is a success rate that we've never seen before. Your organization is rewriting itself, rewriting the history, and we're actually seeing the buy-in from the public on a scale that we've never seen before. But what does that mean for the hot funds? It kind of goes right back into the conversation with the hot funds, because without the hot funds, we wouldn't be able to do what we just did. 83%, 75 miles or further. But I wanted to say today, thank you. Thank you, because without your support, we wouldn't be able to do what we did. But here's what's amazing about all of this. This was my first year. We just started. So again, I wanted to come in today with some brief facts, but say more than anything else, thank you so much for everything, your support.
Thank you, Michael.
At this point, if you have any questions, I'm more than welcome to ask any or answer anything.
Your request is for 37.5 for the next year.
That is correct.
Well, I've seen some of the new exhibits and they are fantastic. And I know Pam Stranahan is heading up that collections committee and she's a fount of wisdom.
Stay on a percentage.
Your last name.
Yes, sir, they do get 4%, so it is based on what our income is.
Yes.
Sorry, what's that comment, Jackie?
They are 4% allocated, 4% of the revenue, and so it is based on what our revenue is.
Yeah, whatever that equates to.
So
But that's the same with the art center too, is it
That
not?
is correct.
And I mean, those decisions were made in the past. They could be revised. Or is it-
there, some of it's based on statute, Commissioner, I'm not.
Is that
sure.
based on
Yeah.
statute?
And it may be on order that was done several years ago or something, but that is what has been allocated in the
Right.
past. And I really think it is statute, but
Maybe
Don't
we can find
get
out
me-
that. Because
don't.
I think it changed at some point from just to the Maritime Museum to the Maritime Museum and the Art Center.
We have,
And Friends of the Fulton Mansion.
right, we have like
Yeah.
3 that are based on a percentage.
Okay.
So not everybody is based on a percentage?
No, sir. No, and that's why I'm saying I believe it is statute that does that because you can only give so much to these different arts or different type of venues. But I'll verify that for sure.
Thank you.
4% will be like 32,000. Yeah.
Thereabouts.
That's also based on revenues and unfortunately, they've been kind of low too.
Right.
So, the treasurer does look at that and just allocate whatever 4% of what our collections were.
Right.
With a max of whatever.
All right.
Thank
Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael. Oh, let's say Chris May's here. No.
No.
Chamber. Shelley. I'm just going down our little list here.
Good morning, everyone. First
Morning,
of
Pam.
all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all and introduce you to our visitor center manager who does run and coordinate our visitor center operations along with myself.
Hi, I'm Diana Pardue at the Visitor Center. Glad to be here.
So as you all know, this is a new role, a new presentation for us. So we weren't quite sure, what to prepare, but we have a lot of stuff going on. We've really been focusing on the visitor center and the visitor experience. We have been looking around our offices and what we are doing a lot right now. I don't know if you've driven by, we're painting, we're updating. It's important, I think, to say that none of this is really cosmetic. It was time to get it done and to keep the maintenance on it up to date. So we do have a little bit of numbers of what we've brought in as far as visitor center. We have some activities we've been planning because we are open on Saturday now. And we are revamping everything inside. We do have a visitor center committee council. And so we meet And that includes, we try to include everyone, but the city's involved, someone from the county, the town of Fulton. And we kind of just walk around and look at the visitor center and see what the needs are. So we're updating all the panels in there. We have one dedicated to pathways and to the other, you know, arts and things like that. So I guess we're more than anything wanted to tell you about what last year's numbers, because we're already almost there this year. So now we have two sets of numbers in the visitor center because we do ask them to sign in, but a lot of them don't. So we have to two sets of the numbers. So that's why there's two separate numbers. But last year, the daily activity report for the clicker, we had over 5,300 visitors. And the sign-in, we had a little over 3,100. This year, up just to July, we're already over 3,000 daily activity sheets. So some of the things we've done to bring that in, some of the things we did to bring those in was we did a kickoff to summer. We've done coffee and pastries. These are Saturday activities to bring visitors in. We did a chill in July, where they offered free snow cones. I think we had about 20.
We had 22 free snow cones, and then there was 35 people that came into the visitor center.
And just to remark on that, please note the first Saturday we were open, we had 4. So we're coming a long way on that. And we're doing the second annual Jimmy Buffett Day in August. That was a big hit last year, and I'm sure it'll be even more this year. So did you want to add anything on any of that?
Yeah, I'm trying to do an activity each month. So for September, because it's Hummingbird Month, and we're going to have over 3,000 visitors inside the visitor center just on the 3-day period. And also, I have a group of ladies that I'm working with a lady from the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce, and she's doing a reunion for Refugio. It's 100-something people, but 20 ladies have signed up to do a shopping deal, and they wanted to make it fun. So I'm making little coupon books for them, making packets for them. So maybe they'll come back by themselves later. And they're all excited because they already came and visited me. They're also buying gift cards at each of the stores that have decided to be in this shopping. And they're going to buy it from each stores and then give them away to the ladies when they come to the visitor center to pick up their packet.
So they're going to be given like a little map to go around and visit each store that's participating. So, and they have promised to spend lots of money on that. So that's just one thing that we're doing in addition to, of course, we are working on Hummingbird and Seafair, and we will be marketing that. So other than that, I guess we just want to know if you all have any questions with our new role as visitor center.
No, I'm just glad that you're open on Saturdays. I think that's a good thing.
We are seeing, like I said, an increase.
Yeah.
But we're having to do activities to get them in, which is great. But
Would
from
you-
4 to 35 is
Would you share a little bit about how you've changed your focus, being now you're a visitor center?
Yes, our focus is fully on the visitor center. We have someone dedicated. That's what she does, is visitor center information. And she stays in contact with a lot of the text dot information centers. We're getting ready to send them a bunch of information, which we've always done, but our focus has increased on that and making sure that that's happening. Again, you know, we're updating all the panels. I don't know if you've been in there for a while, but the panels there, they're very informative. Unfortunately, they were done in 2011, but a lot of that information is no longer available. It doesn't exist. So we're doing dedicated panels to do that. And hopefully we can keep them changing and fresh and new. We've offered a space for nonprofits in the area to come and highlight their event that they have coming up and to keep it fresh. And, you know, we have a dedicated visitor center council that took the place of the TDC council for us. So they're, you know, this is what we need to do. These are the focus that we need to have. So.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So your ask is 80,000, I'm sorry,
Sure.
60,000. That's for the visitor center, and Seafair remain at 2,500?
Yeah.
Okay.
we were gonna do a little bit of, Hummingbird marketing, buses, transportation, as well.
Where are you having the mall this year?
It's at the Fulton Convention Center.
Oh, okay. So it won't be out at the airport in that
No, if
hangar.
you remember right, that was just, we had no other choice. It was
Right,
to
I
come and
remember.
Have it there. We survived through it, and a lot of the thing is, a lot of the vendors, a lot of them said they had the best year ever, but it was just too hot. They
Yeah.
wouldn't come back.
I had heard that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm so sorry, I know y'all got places to be, but can we take a 5-minute break? Sorry. Next up is gonna be Friends of Fulton Mansion, so y'all can get ready. All right. Ms. Hill, good morning.
Good morning. I'm Jane Hill, the president, is this on? The president of the Friends of Fulton Mansion, and this is Dorothy Wood, as you know. She's the assistant site manager for the mansion. The mansion, as you know, is part of the Texas Historic Commission, and it's just one of many sites in the state of Texas. I don't have a visual, but I have handed out something that we prepared. Thank you for having us this morning, and we appreciate the opportunity to talk about the very many assets that the mansion offers, along with all of the other sites in Rockport and Fulton that attract people. And we look to see ourselves as a complement to all of the other attractions. In fact, as a docent, when people would ask me, what else is there to do? So we would name all of the different places that we could think of, including, the big sites like the Maritime Museum and the Center for the Arts, even the Big Tree. And then people would get a chuckle out of, what's the Big Tree? So we see ourselves as partners with all the other attractions. One of the things that we see, and especially this year, is that we have a lot of visitors. I know that you've said hot funds are down, but we haven't seen it in terms of visitors or tourism. At our last quarterly meeting, I reported that in our first six months, that's January through June, we had 12,068 people who toured and or attended programs and events. That's up from last year, where our total for 2024 was 13,846. Now, part of it is we're offering a lot more programs. Let me get into that in a moment. I just wanted to state too, that of all of the sites under the Texas Historic Commission, that the mansion had the highest number, as well as from gift shop sales. So, the state of Texas, they compare all of those things because they give Dorothy and Barbara Judkins goals to set, just like the city. We all want more people to come here. So does the state of Texas. And so they have hit the highest gift shop sales of any of the sites in Texas. So that's something that we work together on with the state of Texas and the town. We all benefit. We are a family destination, as Rockport is. We offer educational programs. I say we, the site, educational programs and fun events for the entire family. We have a very high number of year-round, every month we have something going on that are educational programs and events. They're developed by our state certified educators and interpreters. That's one of the reasons that we can attribute the higher number of attendance this year, is that we've got some very talented educators who are working full-time. That's their full-time job to do that. Along with Dorothy has a background in that as well. So really 3 people full-time working on that. We offer a quality personal experience. We have guided museum tours. We have docents who are trained. I was one of them. The training program is pretty intense, and a lot of memorization, and then just practice and listening to the questions that they have, because the site is really unique and unusual. And you drive by and you see that beautiful place, and people want to come in and tour it. So when you first walk into the museum, we have period correct costumes for children and adults, and they get a real kick out of dressing up in those and taking their picture. And then when they come over to the museum, we have scavenger hunts for both the adults and children, and they really enjoy it. The kids get real excited. In fact, I have to tell them, stop running, don't run, And the adults, sometimes before we had the adult scavenger hunts, the adults would do the children one and get a kick out of it as well. So the educational programs aren't just someone as a speaker. They're active programs that Dorothy will, when I'm finished with this part, go into some more detail about what those programs are like. And we have entertainment, the music at the mansion out there on that beautiful lawn overlooking the bay and under those beautiful trees. It's really a pretty setting when you drive by and you see. We get a lot of people who would drive by and see it and come and park and come and listen to the music without even having to, promote it. It's clear that the mansion does stand out. You drive by and you see it. So it's a great tourist attraction. even if you didn't look it up before you came here, things to do while I'm in Rockport, you drive by, see it, and it makes for a really unique experience in Rockport that's really nothing else quite like it. And I'm so proud that the state of Texas did restore that beautiful property because it's a wonderful history about Rockport and Fulton. So some of the future plans that we have on how we would spend our HOP funds, whatever it is that you decide to grant us. We're still working on restoring Harriet's Garden. That was a part of the historic part of the mansion. In the back there, Harriet always had a beautiful garden. And the state, I think, has finally given us permission to hire, instead of going through their landscape architect, because it's a slow process to get things approved by the state. They've given us permission to hire a landscape architect who can help us put together a garden that works with our environment now, because many of the plants that were planted back then are no longer,
They're no longer, they're no longer able to live in this environment. They're hybrids. So we're looking at plants that we can plant that's going to help make the garden beautiful again, and also restore some of her things that she had in other types of plants. They may not be exact, but they're going to be as close as the things we can get. And they'll be environmental and stable for this environment. You know, our summers get hot, sometimes they're really dry, and sometimes we have water issues. So we're looking at things that we don't have to water so often. So that's what we're going to build on. Also the playhouse for the children, that was part of the garden too. So we're looking at restoring and that rebuilt. And that'll go along with other programs that we can bring in for not just education, but also the tourism. And that's going to bring in more visitors from out of town. We're also promoting for destination weddings. And this weekend we just had one. And we are almost fully booked up until next October for weddings that are coming in from people from out of town. So we're getting more and more visitors seeing us as a place to have a destination event. So it's not just our locals that are coming in anymore. And we still want those too, but we're looking at more, we're getting more out there. We're able to report, and our information's been broadcasted across through THC, and it's just growing. This is the first time this site has been fully staffed in, I think, a year or 2 years now. I've only been there for a year, and Joanne has been there for a year, one of my other educators. And between all three of us, we have built some really good programs, and we even have more programs coming out, and it's reaching out to people across the United States. It's not just for here, it's for the local. We are reaching out across the United States. We even have some people coming in that is from Europe, like Germany, England, and they heard about us through our advertising and the way we're promoting everything. So we're getting more and more people internationally too.
I see that you do a lot more promoting on the internet. As young educators, they know, young people know how to promote it. We're also, some of the ways for historic, we've asked for some money for historic restoration. So some of the things that the site wants to do is make some 3D models of some of the original items, because you can't handle, they're museum pieces, so you can't handle the items from the Fulton. So if you make a 3D model of it, then visitors can handle and look at those things. Another is that we want to scan, well, let me back up. During hurricane season, we move off those historic items that were part of the original items for the Fultons in case there's a hurricane, because it takes a long time to pack that stuff up. And so while all the rest of us are leaving town, the folks at the museum, they're hurrying up and they want to leave town too. So we want to make it easy for them to leave town if there's a hurricane. So we want to make some items or scan some of those items so that we have, like, why don't you explain that?
What we're going to do is we want to get like the duck picture. It's not really a picture, it's made out of the duck feathers. That was George's son, his eldest son, took a friend hunting. And that friend took the duck feathers and made a portrait of that duck. And that picture now is at Lawyer Hall, because I went ahead and did a proactive where it took 72 hours to pack the museum up last year when we were having a hurricane or a threat of a hurricane.
Goodness.
So I think about my staff, and I want them to be able to take care of their properties and get out too. So what we did is we went ahead and removed the original portraits of Harriet and George, the duck painting, and some other objects like her teacup and a silver set that belongs to the family. We had to take that and just restore it someplace else. So that way it's there for safekeeping. And then we'll bring it back after hurricane season's over. Well, what I would like to do is get these items scanned, and using a 3D printer, we can also get them printed and it'll look exactly like the originals, but we can have them there on site when our other items are in storage during hurricane season. Because we always get asked, where's the duck picture at? Well, it's gone because of hurricane season. So we're going to try and get things like that done. And these are all a lot of new techniques, things that we can do now. And I'm looking at getting them done, and we have new ideas along with our educators, and they're coming up with all these new things, and it's to help restore and maintain what we have. So.
Well, and it's a museum, and people expect to see historic items. So as a docent, I can remember in the summer having to explain why those things weren't there. So we do think it's very important to maintain that. We want that experience when people visit our beautiful museum to really appreciate how people lived during that era. And so when you remove those things, it leaves an empty wall or an empty space. So that's one of the ways we plan to do that. We are going to continue with our music at the mansion, the Christmas lighting. That's always so beautiful in the holidays that people drive by and see it. So when people are here, tourists are here at Christmas, it just adds to the beauty of Rockport. And we always have he's dressed in, we have a
We have a
Victorian.
Victorian Santa suit who comes in and plays, and we have visitors from all over the place that come in for that. And he is very good. And he comes in, we set up the parlor. Of course, right now our parlor is under restoration because we have some things going on with the fireplace mantle. And but he comes in, they sit down, the children come in, and then Joe Fox comes in as George and reads a story to the children. And that is always a big hit. So we're going to keep
dressed in costume and pretending to be George Fulton reading them.
And last year I changed it up a little bit. I went ahead and dressed up as Harriet. And when Joe came in, I kind of surprised him. So I didn't tell him. And I said, "Oh, hi, dear. I'm sorry for having such a busy house." And he just fell right in line with it, and it rolled, and we had a standing ovation. So it worked out really good. And we're looking at doing the same thing again this year.
So in closing, I know that you have lower revenues this year. I've heard that from hot funds, and you have to make tough decisions. And I think, as I said, we feel like we're a partner with all of the other attractions in town that makes, the experience fun for people who come. There are lots of things to do when you come to Rockport. So we just hope that more of them come and stay in the hotels.
Also, I wanted to say, we also host a dinner every quarter in the house, and that has brought in people from out of town. And we're looking at maybe even possibly doing a brunch or something like that. So we're looking at this part of our foodways program that we have now. And Joanne has taken off with that, and she has done an excellent job with that. And it is just, we have more and more requests and they come in. We have a couple of people that just came in by the whole, we have seating for 10, and they just come in by the whole seating for that. And it is, our foodways program is taken off because we use Harriet's recipes that she would have had from her grocery list and stuff for her dinners. So.
And it's cute. The staff all dress in kind of period correct, and they're serving everyone. And some of the guests come dressed and kind
I've
of
seen those pictures, where the guests are dressed in that era too.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So,
do y'all have any questions for me or for any?
Thank you.
Oh, you're doing good work.
Yep.
Great work.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Representatives from Le Mardi Gras? Nope. Wings Rescue, all right,
Could I ask a quick question though on the Le Mardi Gras? I know it says on their request, copies of advertising invoices will be provided once the event's been held. So is that done? Okay, thank you.
And they did say that they could not be here in attendance today.
Cultural Arts District. It's Jennifer Day.
Hey, Jennifer Day, 902 East Cornwall. I'm here to advocate for the Rockport Cultural Arts District. Basically, I'm going to just run through the application letter that we submitted and add some ad lib content to that. First of all, obviously, we want to thank you for your support in the past. We have grown tremendously, and the reason why we continue to grow is through support from various entities, with Aransas County being one of those. We have championed many unique tourist-driven initiatives since 2016 when we were designated by the state of Texas. Most are accessible to the public 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Our landmark cultural interface sculptures, it's the most predominant public art in Aransas County, with its surrounding certified wildlife habitat, ignited ecosystem initiatives, including the county and city approvals for certified wildlife habitats and public right-of-ways, the Ecosystem Summit, which was sold out, by the way, which was a free, but I say sold out because you couldn't get any more tickets. We had a lot of demand for that, and as well as the proclamation of Aransas County and Rockport Fulton as the ecosystem capital of the Texas Gulf Coast.
Jennifer, quick question.
Yes.
On that Eco Summit, I know that there were several people who came from Cameron County.
Yes.
Did you all do a count to see how many people came from outside?
We did. Well, we did through Eventbrite, which is how you could get your tickets. So yes, definitely that was part of the criteria when I set up the tickets, is to capture that information. So yes, we did have outside of 75 miles there, but I will tell you, I had a lot of people that wanted to come. But we were originally going to do it at the community center, and we switched it to the former city council chambers, which was limited, so we had to restrict attendance. But yes, to answer your question,
It was not just an Aransas County attendee.
no, it
They
was
came from
definitely
all-
not.
yeah.
It was definitely not. We also showcased our latest video documentary, which I'll get to in just a minute, but which is pretty fantastic. You have not seen that. We did a slight debut of that. I know Commissioner Dubnik got to see that. We've not published it currently,
Okay,
but we definitely have plans to do that.
thank you. Sorry. to interrupt.
Absolutely. No.
Yeah,
no problem.
Commissioner Garza, from Cameron County, David Garza, he
Yeah.
really, him and his staff, really
Very excited.
were excited about what's going on here.
Well, we also had a lot of different organizations, whether it was Master Naturalist or Pathways. We just had a lot of not only organizations, and that shows you the power of collaboration. That's a lot of what we do is collaboration with other entities and lifting everybody up, right, for the good of this community and what we offer in this community. But getting back to the certified wildlife habitat at the cultural interface sculptures, that is also now spread to the spirit columns. Susanna Morales has now engaged Charlie Belair to put that there. So it's it continues. That is a huge area that we focus on. And you think about the interest there and the type of tourists that engages. Those are the types of tourists we want here. The ones that are going to come here and take care of our community, right? That have that bent towards, the natural environment that we treasure. And really, we promote that. So that whole area is a huge focus going forward. Mural Fest kicks off next week. It's 4 major public art murals that are being created next week. We'll have a week-long event. We'll have camera crews filming those murals as they develop and as you'll see them come to life. We'll have opportunities to meet the artists throughout the week at different venues, as well as people being engaged to be able to talk to these nationally known muralists. And we're talking big art, not little art. So this is going to really impact the 44 blocks of the Rockport Cultural Arts District. And just to make one statement about the district and then to bring that to a bigger view, We are 44 blocks. We do collect zip codes through the Texas Historical Commission's Datafy software. That is something that came to us as a residual without charge from the Smithsonian exhibit for leading the Smithsonian exhibit of the 44 blocks that tracks zip codes coming into and out of those 44 block boundary. We have averaged 10,000 3-day visitors stays over the past, since last summer through the Datafy process. And as you can imagine, a mural is open 24/7 by 365. We're not going to stand out there. We don't have the resources to collect zip codes on that. So this is a way to do that and still achieve a reasonable amount for reporting zip codes. So we have existing 7 murals in the district. And as I mentioned, these are fantastic marketing tools. Everyone loves to take a selfie in front of a mural. You know, it's so inviting. I can't tell you how many people stand in front of that bird mural, and kids and dogs and, you know, taking pictures. It's a fun thing. And people have a great time doing it. Let's see. We are also planning on a Mural Fest in 2026 as well. 2 new major events are being championed. First is the enhanced version of the holiday rooftop and Veterans Memorial Park lighting during the holiday season, adding major district entrances and building facade lighting. The lighting extravaganza is expected to draw thousands of visitors and boost our local economy and sales. And not only hot sales, but sales tax, which is so important to the livelihood of our city. It's definitely a multi-benefit lighting. We have done a lot of communication with the merchants in the district and their support. This year it will be facade lighting. We will be adding a downtown Christmas tree as well. So if you think about that, downtown doesn't have a Christmas tree. Last year we did a very small, didn't quite turn out as we wanted, a crab trap Christmas tree. Loved the idea. It wasn't quite tall enough. It was a little stubby, but it was still very characteristic, very artistic. And, you know, people still talk about it. So good things, good positive things, outside the box things, which is what we want. That's what attracts people. Second major event is what's in my application here is Art Rockport, an indoor fine art show. That has shifted a little bit because of the workshop communications with the city of Rockport. We still plan on doing some offerings around indoor art, but not at the same level that we were planning before because the funds aren't there. And between the holiday lights and the fine art show, the consensus was that the holiday lights would produce more positive economic impact than the fine arts show. Now, I will say with that, partnering with the Texas Maritime Museum and potentially the Center for the Arts, that's something that we continue to want to do and collaborate with other organizations, again, lifting us all up and really offering multi-benefits for tourists coming into our community, getting tourists to move around in our community, and that means they're spending money in our community. Since 2023, we've been working on revitalizing Rockport's designation as a film-friendly Texas with the Texas Film Commission. We have engaged with the city of Rockport, and we've taken the lead on updating the data on the Texas Film Commission site. We add and promote filming sites on their website. We have attended workshops in New Brunswick. We have a local filmmaker on our board of directors, and I think she's become very, very popular now. In fact, what I just saw in that commercial before actually stems some of that from the commercials that we generated starting back in 2023. You're aware that we have done 2 commercials And the second one featured the Aransas County Airport, which was pretty fantastic. And Carla Tank is our filmmaker. And she is quite extraordinary. And why that's also very, very important is, and she also did our Rockport Fulton Art Colony documentary. It won first place at the Austin, Texas Short Film Festival. I just got an email yesterday. We entered it into 18 different film festivals in the state of Texas this year, and just got an email yesterday from Victoria and their film festival that they're going to feature it. So it's continuing to get a lot of feedback. And as I mentioned, Aransas Living a Legacy is our ecosystem documentary that will be published and released very, very soon. We are working with State Representative Todd Hunter on the recent state-driven efforts to fund the film industry. He is very focused on Aransas and Nueces County. The state legislature just passed $1.5 billion for the next 10 years. That's $300,000 every session for the film industry. And again, we're working with Todd Hunter. In fact, was targeted to be in Austin this week. But I think everyone's probably aware of the redistricting that's getting a lot of focus and pushing back this, going to talk to the governor's chief of staff about Aransas County and the film industry. So that is a big push that we're working on. I think everyone knows that we acquired, restored, and turned into a museum, our beautiful little 1888 Rockport Railroad Depot. And we are working on a major addition to that and expansion through the Railway Park, which is a space in front of the depot between Magnolia and Austin Street, turning that into a railway park, a green space in the downtown area. And if you'll look, there's really not a lot of green spaces in the downtown area. So this will provide seating and shade. It'll be a place for art and farmers markets. So it will bring a lot of traffic in the downtown area. We're also planning on putting a large Christmas tree at that location, which is a perfect location in the downtown area. Also, just want to point out briefly, we're adding a water retention cistern to the Railroad Museum. It's going to be styled after, it'll have a visual of being an old cistern, but it's obviously a brand new plastic tank that will take the rainwater and water and irrigate the greenery around the Railroad Museum. Also, I know every one of you were at the Smithsonian exhibit. That was very well attended and a lot of fun. It brought a lot of visibility, as well as 21 partnership organizations, over 300 volunteer hours. And that's just for the exhibit, not for the partnership organizations or the training, the 18 months prior to getting that exhibit. So there's a lot of power in what nonprofits bring to the table with nonprofits. With volunteers to help those initiatives. We're also looking at other exhibits. I know Commissioner Russo has forwarded several opportunities, just like she forwarded the Smithsonian. There's several other opportunities that we're looking for in exhibits that will feature our heritage and our history here. There's one of them in particular is women aviation in World War II, and that's something, again, through collaboration. I'd like to work with Mike Gear and Cody on working to highlight our airport here. Okay, one of the other things I do want to point out is, although we are music friendly and we are film friendly, the Rockport Cultural District's state designation for Cultural Arts District is the only state designation that is the gateway for state legislative funding. We have brought in $300,000 over the past 6 years of state legislative funding, and that's very important that that opportunity is there, and that we lift each other up and we divide that amongst the qualified arts institutions. Let's see. I have several other notes here, but just to keep it brief, I will end my presentation there and ask if you have any questions.
Don't change your email address.
Okay, thank you all very much.
Okay, thank you. The Visitors Bureau, come on up. I don't see anybody else. Hey, good morning.
How y'all doing?
Morning, Annette.
I'm Craig Griffin, the current chair of the CVB. And in my mind, it's the best hope we have to market the entire county as in a cohesive, coherent fashion that I think we've been missing. And I think it's a really good mission we're on, and well-defined that that's what we're going to do. It's the whole county, not just one entity versus the other, which I think is counterproductive to us. I also think that the main purpose of hot tax is heads and beds. And that's what we're striving to do as an entity, bringing people to the county. And then it's up to the individual businesses, events and things like that to bring the people to their event or business. I think that's important to stay on that focus. I'm 100% behind this effort, and I actually own businesses in Fulton. So like I say, I'm totally in belief that it is for the county. I've got one number I want to give you. I got two numbers on it. Is that anybody that allocates hot funds really needs to think about these numbers. If you give 10,000, if you allocate 10,000 to somebody, that's $142,900 in room rentals to regenerate that money. And at 2% of the county, it's $500,000 of room nights, which is about 3,500 room nights. So that's a lot of nights for that I don't believe generate on some of these smaller events that hot tax goes to. And it's not for the purpose of the collection of it and the heads and beds. That said, I'm going to introduce Nanette Island, who is the executive director of the CVB.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning.
I am the CVB tourism manager, and so I began in June. I actually moved to Rockport in November, so have a home and made it my home before I started to work at the city. So I bring a background of tourism. I worked for Visit Fort Worth for several years, and have about hospitality background for 20 plus. I don't want to date myself. So, but we're here to, and I have great support, and I'm grateful that everyone in this room has made you a presentation so far. It's our job is to market their events. And so we're here to drive tourism, to bring, increase our revenues and our hot tax, our sales tax, our beverage tax, focusing on a goal as the whole area, Rockport, Fulton, Aransas County as one cohesive area of branding. We do have a new website that is being produced, and thankful to Carl. He's done 99% of the work with Simple View. And they do a lot of our other CVB tourism websites. So if you look at Visit Port Aransas or Visit Fredericksburg, Visit Fort Worth, many of them are produced by Simple View. So that'll just give you kind of and even Corpus Christi, give you an idea of what our site might look like. But our goal is to market everything as a whole and to bring a consistent kind of branding overall. So I've asked that Carl to give you some stats because he really started before I came even in doing our advertising. So just yesterday, I did commit to a full page ad on the Texas State Highways travel guide that will be split between Aransas Pathways and Visit Rockport Fulton. So that will debut. So we found it was more cost effective to split that ad, and then we got a discount by committing to it now before our budget season, but it'll be perfect for that. So that's one of the many, but like I said, we support all the people that are here. When I originally submitted all the information, I know I submitted a lot. I didn't have any room night estimates and I still struggle with how people do, to be honest, come up with their room night estimates. How are they getting those? But I added up all of those that have submitted to me and the city, not to me, but to the city. And they had over 150,000 in attendance, and it came out to over 40,000 room nights. So we would be supporting all of that. So that's our goal here, is to work as a community. We also support the Visitor Center, the Chamber. And so if you have any questions, but I'll let Carl kind of chat from there.
You mentioned something, Nanette, that you had presented information. Was that
Mhm.
distributed to us?
That was, I thought it was in here. We didn't get, did I not send it to them?
Okay, I just,
I'm happy to
I'm
send it
gonna-
to you.
I'll,
right.
well,
Or you-
you print it out, put it in their mailboxes.
Okay. yeah.
Okay.
And if you have any questions or any, I'm in full transparency. If you have questions or need any information, please feel free to reach out. Happy to share that. Our budget, our marketing plan is, we started out with a $50,000 marketing plan, I think, before I arrived, and then they increased that to 250 or more. So we have a very comprehensive marketing plan that has been running for several months now. And so, and that will continue as well. Okay.
I was thinking it may have gotten mixed in with our chamber
Yeah.
visitor
oh,
center.
This, I was like, oh, there it is.
It's,
and when I
yeah.
don't see it.
I think there's a PowerPoint in there. I was thinking, was this part of y'all's? I know it's hard for you to see, but that wasn't.
No, that's.
That was, because it said Convention Visitor Bureau. That's what I was wondering. That is the chambers, okay.
The,
I'll get it in your mailbox.
yeah, the information that Nanette sent kind of gets into the weeds of all of the data from all the people seeing the advertising that's been running so far, as well as the scope of everything that happened in June. So every single month it's been ramping up. The city's been working with our company since roughly April to get all this stuff ramped up. So we're working with Simple View, as Nanette mentioned, to develop the tourism website. There's a lot of things we have to do on Rockport and Aransas County and Fulton side of things to have pictures of all of the attractions and descriptions of everything written up, because those folks aren't here. So when you look at the finished websites for Fredericksburg and such, there's a lot of work that goes into gathering all that content. And that website's on track to launch in mid-October. And any business, whether they're in the county or Fulton or Rockport, can be listed on there. And that's why I believe it's great if everyone's working together on this, because we see a lot of questions on social media about, well, what if I stay over in Lamar or Copano, or what hotels are in Fulton, or what is Fulton? And then we answer all that stuff.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So you say, and I think you said that'll be coming out in October.
Mhm.
And if people have questions, then the other entities can provide information. Will they be offered the opportunity to put links? Will they be offered that
Mhm.
for no cost, or will there be a charge to them to do that?
So any tourism related business right now can submit a listing to be on the website.
So a link or something.
It will actually, it's like looks like a page that they
All right.
have. So it's a directory of, our goal is to get every business to submit themselves to the site. And then on the net side, they look at it and approve the listings. So whether you're a gift shop in Fulton or an Airbnb in Copano Ridge or a hotel in Rockport, you can submit your business, anything tourism related.
Okay, or something like the History Center or the Maritime Museum, they can also.
And they also would want to submit a listing, but also any of the major attractions, whether it's the Fulton Convention Center or the Arts Center, the Maritime Museum, they're going to kind of have their own information under the attractions section on that.
When it comes to a season for an event,
Mhm.
Oyster Fest, different things, will you highlight that in your plan?
Yes, exactly. So there's certain events in the budget for the year, because if there's an event happening in Fulton, it's going to bring a lot of people to the county, to the city, and to Fulton. So all of the major events, there's spikes in their budget to spend more on advertising leading up to those events, and then those are incorporated into all of the marketing. So if we have videos that are streaming on YouTube or on streaming TV, or visual ads on Google and social media during the periods leading up to those events, like Oyster Fest, Crawfish Festival, Wine Festival, Art Festival, as they're getting closer, their content will be incorporated into the advertising campaigns. So if people are in Dallas or in Austin and they're looking for things to do, we're competing with all the other communities around Texas to get them to come here. And so having those events is a way to kind of highlight why you would want to come here at that time. So, and that's where, right now, of course, all the social media handles and the website, they all say visit Rockport Fulton, explore Rockport Fulton. So it is promoting the entire community as it stands right now. And the more horsepower they have to promote that, the better. Everything's been ramping up. Just throwing out some June numbers because that's the report you have. A little over 900,000 people that were searching for travel across Texas saw Rockport Fulton related ads on Google and on YouTube. And then over 250,000 people watching streaming TV. So if you're watching like a rerun of Chopped, like my wife's always doing, you know, you're seeing those ads before the show and you can't skip those. So 250,000 of those were seen. And then on social media in June, we had close to 700,000 views of content related to Rockport Fulton, whether that was a paid ad or that was an organic post that was put out. So I encourage you to go follow the Explore Rockport Fulton social media handles. And that's been ramping up because that just started in May, middle of May, and it just crossed 16,000 followers this past weekend. And in July, the numbers almost doubled. So 1.2 million people saw content on those channels. And you'll see videos from Fulton, videos from Rockport, pictures from Fulton, pictures from the county, content from all over the community.
You see a channel?
What do you mean by that?
Okay, you're saying the Explore Rockport Fulton. I was thinking that was maybe a website or something.
Those are the social media channels. So Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Explore Rockport Fulton. So those are essentially the handles for those different accounts. The website itself is going to be visitrockportfulton.com. So that's kind of, we're encouraging people to come explore Rockport. So that's kind of the theme of the social media.
I think I've seen some of those on Facebook.
And the other thing that Nanette kind of mentioned is you have the state-run entities like Texas Highways and Tour Texas. So there's a lot of advertising going through those platforms. We're using people from the community as models in different photo shoots just to highlight the community and the different, show people actually doing the different activities here. And then there's also ads running on things like TripAdvisor. So what they call those online travel agents, Expedia, TripAdvisor, that type of thing. There's another whole campaign going on there as well that Nanette oversees.
Thank you, Carl.
A lot of different stuff going on. Thank you all.
So after meeting with Nanette and Jatine, you know, we don't have any data. This is the first of its kind. So I offered 70,000 to give them, you know, upon approval of the court, but I'll entertain your thoughts of what we go higher, we go lower.
I think that's a pretty generous commitment. I'd like to look at some of
Yeah.
what they're talking about. We're not going to vote on that today.
Okay. Okay.
And I'll just bring up a couple of points here to their testament. We do agree, a lot of the nonprofits that operate, the museums, a lot of those things, they're an attraction. They're all going to be vital to this community. The opportunities we've had, and I think I've heard it and throughout this request, there was somebody that was here earlier that said they advertise on Channel 3. I think it was Fulton for Oyster Fest, right? They advertise on Channel 3, Channel 6. Well, we've already got through the CVB all those contracts to do the promotion of Rockport Fulton in general. So it would just be piggybacking on that to say, hey, Oyster Fest will be blasted a little more come February, come January, you know, that time frame that they really would need that. And so some of the same things that Carl's doing for Maritime Museum, for others, this is just trying to take, and what the city's approach was to take some of that marketing, funnel it through a central organization so you get more out of it versus everybody kind of fragmented. And so that's what our goal is. And like what Carl said, it's paid dividends so far. It's done really well. And the other thing I would also mention is the fact that we have before, if you can, I don't know, I think most of you were in some of those marketing meetings that we were using through the chambers, that third party out of San Antonio, Helen Thompson. We would do that once a year. So we would kind of see what's happened and then make our adjustments, or they would tell us how things went. Here, you're getting it month by month. We're getting the data every month, what things are working. We can pivot to something that doesn't work and go to something else. And so it gives us that flexibility. And so that's what some of the biggest things I've seen in the short amount of time that we've put this together. So, and I think you look at the airport has a request for $10,000. When you look at that request, we could probably do better with the CVB using that money. And then Mike telling us, hey, here's who I go after. Can you do something with that? You know, and it would make that $10,000 go a lot further. Same thing goes for the Le Mardi Gras. And, you know, I've talked to Bob about that. You know, last year for this number, Placer AI put their numbers at below 200 for out of town visitors, you know. And so this is where when we have that data collection, it tells us who's coming, who's not coming. And Le Mardi Gras gets $10,000. That's quite a bit of money for attracting less than 200 visitors. And then out of that, I'm sure some of those are vendors. So you subtract the vendors out. You know, it's a great cause. I'm not subtracting from that, you know, event or from the Lamar Volunteer Fire Department, but there should be, you know, just a better approach to how we market it, you know. And I'm not sure what who the coordinator is. I tried reaching out to them earlier this week, see how they market things, and if there's opportunities within the CVB to maybe handle that and bring that event a little bit more spotlight. So, but those are the things that we've seen, and that's why I think the county has an opportunity to maybe consolidate certain amount of funding that'll help the CVB kind of make their dollars go further, and it brings up the whole community.
Yeah, that was a couple questions. I had one thing, and actually contact Carl, works at the airport. He would be a good contact for the Lamar.
Carl
volunteer
Compton?
Yeah, Carl
Okay.
Compton, big mustache.
Yeah.
Okay, contact him and he would give information, because that was one of my questions. I know Craig brought up that point about, $10,000 and it equates to $142,000 in hotel rooms. And then you were talking about using AI for, seeing what the outside attendance really is, and it comes out to that 10,000, about, I won't say $40, to draw each person, to come
Yeah.
out 250 people, $40,000, probably $10,000. But, and I was gonna ask if y'all had actually reached out and start, I think you're relatively new too, but we need to start reaching out to them, I guess, and seeing if you can, sell them and working together and everything. And I'll be honest, when it comes to the volunteer fire departments, just like, Mr. Cole Russell mentioned a while ago, that $200,000 went to them, and they're, as a county, we have a cheap deal for a fire department. I mean, when you think about it, we have what they, provide our community. And I won't say it's a public relations thing, but if it helps them bring in dollars, I hate to cut them unless y'all had some kind of a formal agreement with those volunteer fire departments, because of what they do bring in to our community. I mean, we're fortunate to have, like that truck, that $300,000 truck they bought, it's going to turn out to another, 500,000 to 700,000 for Fulton to get it refurbished. But we only have one ladder truck in our community. And, you being in the business you're in, especially,
Yeah.
they're vital to you and they're doing something. And so these $10,000 we look at, it's not just $10,000. I would like to see some kind of agreement before we would look at taking away from those.
Yeah, and that's up to the commissioners on how you put that in.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd like to say, I
Yeah.
think you're right. I really think you're saying, like, there's you're with the dollars you would have more effect overall than this group coming once a year to say,
Right.
hey, we got some money we want to invest. But
Yeah.
I just like to see some kind of a agreement worked out.
But Bob, they already have the ability right now to go to each one of those groups and pitch the program.
Yeah, well, they're just now.
Well,
getting
but I
started.
mean, if that's going through City of Rockport, something that's county money that eventually goes to these entities, then eventually ends up with the City of Rockport, right? And so somehow that has to be looked at and hammered out. And so we're just kind of bringing it up to your attention. And this year you might do the 70,000 or what is allowable, what you think is okay. But then in the following years, then maybe getting these people to the table and say, hey, can you go ahead and work with this and then use those funds to go directly? So if that $10,000 goes to Le Mardi Gras would then say, okay, out of that, we're going to spend $5,000 through the CVB. There's probably other things that they want to go and do on their own, and they'll use that 5,000 to go do something that we probably can't do. If that's print or something different, that's for Le Mardi Gras to do. But if it's $5,000 to do Facebook and Channel 3 and Channel 6 and all that kind of thing, then we can probably handle that and get a better deal for it. So that 5,000 might actually be $7,000 worth of value. So
Yeah, I think
but-
y'all could really help them exponentially by them working with y'all, you know, but like I said, you got to get that relationship and
Right.
get everything ironed out.
Yeah. And I mean, we don't want to blindside you to say, hey, Commissioners Court gave this $10,000. All of a sudden it ended up with City of Rockport. You know, there needs to be some sort of understanding of how that would work. So,
I understand how a Convention and Visitors Bureau works and can benefit an area. I used to work for one for several years in Corpus Christi. But I also have a concern that right now we have a tourism manager or a CVB director or whatever, and that's fine. But that can grow into a department, which then takes more money. And that is my concern. That was my concern from the beginning when I heard that that was the plan and the path that the city had in mind.
yeah.
I've met with Nanette. I think she's a very qualified person, very knowledgeable, very good hire for our area. But I still want to focus on bringing people here and supporting the entities that have the activities that bring people here and not building a large department in the city. And that's my only reservation. So I just want to mention that. I'm not saying I'm opposed to any kind of cooperative agreement. I'm not. I mean, when I met with the Nanette, we even talked about working with Pathways and some of the other entities, and I think the Coastal Bend Regional Tourism Council or whatever, which used to be a real good force. When I was with Corpus Christi, we worked very well with Rockport Fulton and Ingleside, Aransas Pass, Port A, and all of those. And there is much more power when you can get folks to work together, right? It can be a full page ad instead of a half or a quarter page ad. But we need to really continue to support the entities that bring people here. And I just want to be sure that we're mindful of that.
Yeah, and I agree. Those entities are vital. And the other thing that also came out of this is like a lot of these entities are counting people that come in here. So if
Right.
some visitors come in here and they go to the Maritime Museum, they go to Fulton Mansion, they go to Cultural Arts District, right? All those people are getting counted multiple
I know
times.
they are.
Right. So when Jennifer says, hey, out of the 44 blocks, yes, there's 44 blocks, but chances are they were here doing other things or whatever it may have been. And yes, that's one of our attractions. So they stepped through there and they got counted. And that's great. And that's why I think they're very valuable. But it also helps to promote them in a way that they probably have not looked at, you know. And then we don't have, and of course you don't have the purview of like looking at how their marketing dollars are spent, what organization, I mean, if they're still doing print, you know, that's another different story. But you know, a lot of organizations are just going out there and just say, hey, we advertise in this magazine and this. I mean, Bountiful Bowl was another one, right? You didn't get the pop-up, but if we get the better social media push, I think it pays dividend more on that end and it better for the event. So I just think there's a lot of opportunities. Those are critical. Maybe those use funding off the hot tax to say, hey, supplement attend, supplement something else that's allowable by law to do that versus the marketing.
Did you say too, that I understand it correctly? You said like, say a group has $10,000 for advertising, one of these groups could come to y'all and say, can you help us with this? And you could say, you know, maybe get 5,000 of that from them to do the marketing. Is that one of the things you said?
Yeah, I think we're open to that, but it's just, I don't know how the money flow would interrupt that, right? If somehow
Yeah.
county money, county hot tax money ended up with City of Rockport, and City of Rockport's just going to be a pass through because the net salary's all done on City of
Well,
Rockport.
it was just said that Pathways partnered on an ad. with-
Yeah, it's
so-
different invoicing.
So they got invoiced half of it and the city got invoiced half. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'd like to point out one thing is the membership of our board includes many of the entities.
I see that.
Yes.
The Arts Center, got the Maritime Museum, we got the Cultural Arts District, all represented on the CB board, so not gonna ignore their needs because we're right here with us.
But like I said, you could fund them through other things that are probably allowable by law. We just haven't looked at them. So
I
if,
just want to reiterate that, yes, I worked at a bureau that had, over 100 employees. That's not our goal. Our goal is to support all of these entities and spend our money on marketing. And only grow if we get to the point where our hot tax, our sales tax grows, so we can support all that and then do many more things. So I want to give you that assurance.
and Cody's using
Thank you.
Carl to do his work.
Right.
Which is Carl's who we're using as well. So you kind of follow the money, it kind of ending up in similar spots. So.
To that point, Carl is up with Channel 6 on Bureau Fest that will show this week. Plus, we're in, which magazine? Tour Texas event newsletter that goes out to a million people. I'm sorry, 100,000. And so that's out of Bureau Fest. So we are working together. At that point, just to give you an example.
That's all we have. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank y'all.
But for my
Commissioners, that we are obligating a lot of our reserves to rebuild the aquarium. We don't have any kind of construction costs on that yet. We're still in the architectural phase of it, so we need to also be mindful of those dollars.
Yeah, we don't forget the aquarium.
And then I want to let the commissioners know too, that the NAB district has put in a request as well. That's not in here. They didn't really give a number, but their request is in your packet.
Yeah.
And, I'll entertain, I think last year, tried to give them 5,000, the report was not for it. I don't know if y'all want to entertain it again.
No.
I was looking at, and I'll be honest with you, I looked at the letter they gave us. And, when you look at the information they gave us, the navigations district is just through the gate. Their gate is collecting $829,000, almost at $990. So almost $830,000 just through the gate in fees they collect.
That
up.
wasn't in what I got. I got the one, but I was.
Yeah, well,
say
he was.
I didn't have any expenses.
Well, what I did,
They had all expenses, but they didn't have any income.
No, I took their numbers
Yeah.
for what they had come through the gate and,
okay.
and they charge for, if you're a daily parking, if you're not it's
10, isn't it? for a day?
$10. And if you have a outside residence, a yearly pass, that's $40. So I took those numbers and then also I took put $20 for the locals who had yearly passes. And I came up with that $829,990 that they collect off of that. And I know one of the things they were saying, they were doing this to make sure they cover all their operating costs. So when it comes at least to the beach park, it's hard to,
When they took the beach park back, their pitch was they were gonna make so much more money than what the deal was.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
All right.
so.
I'm not interested in making an allocation to them.
Anybody else? Sheriff, thank you for being here early. You're next.
The sheriff's.
Probably wondering if he's gonna get up here today or not.
Oh, we're doing budget.
Commissioner, he was the only one that wasn't there.
Thanks. I apologize for not being able to make yesterday. I did attend the funeral of a relative in San Antonio. 10:30 yesterday morning, so it made it difficult to squeeze that in and meet with y'all as well.
Oh, yeah.
Don't really know where we left off a month ago, but it was a pretty general presentation. And here to.
What's the
Quick
page, Jackie?
concerns.
Looking for those notes. This does not reflect those two new deputy positions, correct, Tana? Okay, thank you.
Basically, that was part of the request that I left y'all with a month ago, to cover two aspects. One would be the courtroom activity on Wednesday. 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, we conducted district court in 3 locations, or I'm sorry, district court in 2 and county court here. We had bailiffs and jailers at all locations. Like I said before, it leaves nobody on the street. The people that we hired to patrol, unfortunately, right now, I've got to say we're not patrolling on Wednesdays, and investigators are tied up in courtrooms as well. I don't see a change or a shift in that in the near future, as long as we stay outside of the courthouse and scatter all over the communities. Like I said, we are scheduled next year for 20 or 21 jury weeks, which means I'll be calling a jury panel almost every other week in the effort to get caught up and get things done. But even outside of the weeks that we're not doing jury trials, Wednesdays, you will usually see 2 district judges come to split the docket because of the size of it. And so we are tied up in 2 locations to do that with them, whether county court is going on or not. Bianchi and in the county court in the last year, we looked, we're meeting about 4 days out of the 5 every week. Excuse me. Thought I had everything turned off. And so it's just added to us being, Wednesdays are a bad day for us. Mondays would be the second one, because when we're calling jury panels, we're in there on Mondays with prospective jurors, covering that with they're weeding through inmates and trying to decide which trials go, and they usually don't know that till 10:30, 11 o'clock Monday morning. And then we start voir dire and go through the rest of the day picking juries. The second deal that was driving that request is the city of Fulton, for the first time in 20 years, I think, has taken a bold step. They now have 4 employees on staff for patrol. They've gone to 4. It takes 5 to cover, bare bones, 7 by 24 on a shift to have your own police department. So this is a huge step on their part. And they came to us and asked that we put together some kind of a proposal to meet with them and be their backup in law enforcement as opposed to the city of Rockport. An increase that they were approached with was going to be pretty sizable, and they decided rather than put it into a payment to Rockport every year, if we could just become their primary backup for a reasonable fee, it would allow them to expand their force and get closer to standing alone. And they're going from, well, what, a year and a half ago, they had 1, and then they got to 2, or maybe 2 years ago, they got 2, and now they're going to 4. They have 1 on staff. They've got 1 in the academy. He'll be out in December. This still leaves them short a few weeks, and Michael and I have gone over the schedule and intend to sit down this next week and try to present 2 proposals to them that covers more of the days of the week and hours of the day, leaving us less vulnerable to cover as primary officers in Fulton, but be really, truly just a backup. And with that, a reminder that the residents of Fulton do pay county taxes. Worst case scenario, we're going to end up responding anyway, at least in this proposal. We're going to do, I think, the right thing if y'all will consider putting them in a position to eventually have their own department with 5 or 6 people. How soon they'll get there, I can't answer that. That'd be a question to take up with the mayor and their staff. But I think we focused and thought we needed to look at working a little bit on their schedule. I'm not here to run their office, but I'm not here to get left holding the bag either. We're concerned about any days that they have a termination or have somebody quit and they drop to 3. We don't want to be left picking up the bulk of that I think we can work with Adele and try to come up with a proposal on MOU that would encourage them to fill those positions and not leave us carrying the bag for 3 months or 6 months, protecting the county's interest, but then eventually getting Fulton to the position where they have their own employees and have their own network internally. Those are the two things that we put in there, I think, for the two deputies. It would give us leeway to work with both of those. And I think across the patrol staff and in the jail, we're closing the gap on our vacancies that we've had in both places. And we are at 100% staffed in the sheriff's office at this point. In fact, we have put out a flyer among the employees internally to fill. We will shift one person we've got right now to the CID position that we've had vacant for a while. We've had difficulty in finding applicants that we considered qualified, that we met the requirements that we had. We're a little pickier than a lot of agencies in who we hire and bring on. And, but we've gotten where we need to be in our staffing, and the jail has begun to close that gap. The problem they were having with vacancies for so long, to apply for a position in the state of Texas in law enforcement with a jailer's license or peace officers, there is a 32-page history statement you have to fill out. And a lot of people applying for a job, if you weren't employed and you were going to go apply anywhere, would you fill out a 32-page inquiry just to apply? You say, I ain't got the time. The jail got a little more lenient, and they took our internal application that we put out, 2 or 3 pages, and did their preliminary background from there. They brought the people in for an interview and at least got them kind of on the hook, and they realized we have an interest in them. But we can't hire you until you meet the state of Texas requirement that we get your personal history statement filled out, which is 32 pages long. And so he was interviewing more people, and now they were a whole lot more inclined and receptive to filling out this document. The beauty of the document is if people are mindful and they save that to a thumb drive or something, all they've got to do is amend it as they go through their careers. But the initial bite to fill that thing out just killed enthusiasm, not just here, but across the state. The jail staff is closing that gap as well on being at 100%. So that was the request for the 2 deputies, and a little bit of an explanation of why it's taken us this long to get back to full staff, but we still don't have the personnel on the Wednesdays to handle the court activity, as long as and I don't know what the plans are, and that's discussions y'all have in closed session. I don't know if we're looking at 6 months or 2 years still before we get in a courtroom.
I think we're
and
looking
courthouse.
at sooner than that. I would be hopeful. I would be
Crystal
hopeful.
ball.
I mean, I could see maybe adding 1 deputy, but I would not support 2. I believe we'll be in the courthouse and will not need so many scattered all throughout the community.
Well, and it's bringing it as a proposal. The second deal would be the deal with Fulton, and we put that together. We'll hopefully try to have something in a format to explain a little more of it after this week, and we can sit down with Ty at Fulton and get with Adele and see what we can write up in an MOU, and see if y'all have any inclination to even participate in that.
Have you got any financial estimate of what it would be as far as them reimbursing the county?
Right now, what Fulton had brought to us in a meeting with Kelly and Ty, 25,000?
I believe it was 25,000, but they were wanting to do an annual for
Yep.
us.
They were covering 168 hours in a work week that they need to cover. And it, 4 people working 10-hour shifts is only, you'd say that's going to cover 160 hours. But the reality is you've got passed down, and you've got more time than they can with vacations and scheduled days off and such. 5 people will allow you to cover it bare bones. But if somebody gets sick or somebody goes to school, now you're in a bind. And I think we can live with those type of interruptions. But if somebody gets terminated or quits and they're going to be out an extended time and we're talking the whole week, I think we need to build something into an MOU that is an incentive for them to fill that position rather than pay the county. And that's a question that we'll take it with Adele after we meet with Fulton, I think with a scheduled proposal to see if we can get them to move to a little better, I think, schedule where the administrative staff is more involved in the patrol as well. It's just, I think it's a growing thing that they've got to go through and understand they've got to cover more of that week. I don't want the county to be out there carrying the water more hours than they are. And, but I do want them to have the opportunity to finally build that thing into the standalone department if they can pull it off.
So 25,000 was their offer to the,
On an annual deal for us to back them up, provide coverage in the hours that they don't have covered in the schedule. And in the event one person, if he has a call that can't handle it, we're going to be there anyway. That's the reality of it.
So maybe when you're looking at a dollar amount, you also include hours.
It'll
with the
be
dollar.
tied to the hours. And that's why we're wanting to, we've got to spend some time on the schedule and propose some changes and explain why. Because to involve ourselves in 30 hours a week out there, we're not going to make it at 25,000. We're going to go in the hole backwards. And while I'm wanting to support them, I don't want the county to have to pay more than we have to. But if we can get them closer to covering in that 150 to 160 and cover the days and not so much the hours, I can live better with them leaving the hours open from 3 in the morning till 7 and us covering those few calls that you're going to get in there, rather than tell me we're going to leave Sunday open. Nah. I schedule people on Sundays and y'all need to cover 7 days a week. So we're going to work on some schedules, take it back to them and say, if we're closer to the middle of this thing in meeting, but then we're going to have to involve Adele and come up with a way that we can word an MOU that protects us when they have a full-time vacancy go on, rather than just somebody sick for a day.
You have a cost of 2 deputies will increase.
you already have vehicles in place for them? You don't,
I believe we can cover that. Yes, we've gotten to the point right now that we've got assigned vehicles to each deputy, but we can go back to what we did 5 years back. And
159 for 2?
All right. Commissioner has to leave at 11:30, so I don't mean to rush you, but.
was there anything else that y'all questions? Because I remember, a month ago, we were just making a highlight presentation, hitting things. Fulton had just come in to see us a day or two before, and
Right.
but we'll get something together to go back to Ty at Fulton and then get with Adele and explain, I think, where we would like to see it go if we could, and then have something for y'all to look at and make a consideration. Fulton at least came to us early knowing that their commitment with Rockport plays out, I think, in October. And so they're looking for a response from us as well, but
I did want to bring up the whole court issue where we go into the new courthouse. We're all going to be in one location. But there are multiple courts still. We have district court. You'll have JP court, you'll have county court, and you'll also have the commissioner's court that could be used on Wednesdays as well. So it's not just going to be, we're all back in one location. We're still going to have extra people to cover this court, that other court, and possibly a fourth court if you have JP. So on and so forth. So we will be in one location, but we'll still be spread out multiple times.
so in the past, even when we were in the old courthouse, we still had one courtroom and a small JP. Now we're going to a county and a district, and because of the business in the county court, and they've changed their ceiling on civil stuff, Judge Bianchi hears more cases than we did 7 years ago at the county court level. His jurisdictional level for civil stuff went up considerably to relieve some of the district court backlog in civil court cases. And then we're still closing that gap on the backlog, but because they've reassessed the volume of activity in the agencies that 3 judges represent 5 counties. And that was the reason that we're going to 20 or 21. jury weeks because our volume of activity has passed some others, and they realized historically, we probably should have had more cases in the past and didn't. And they're working to rectify that for us.
And every week that we do have a trial, we still have a regular docket Wednesday that has another district judge come in, and we have to have a separate.
Also, we need to consider that we cannot do voir dire in the new courthouse, and it will be at the Church Street location.
We're getting there, just growing pains.
Jackie, what's the $100,000 increase on utilities for the detention center?
Probably basically just what it's costing.
That's what we calculated for the.
Well, at the end of July, we were already at 150,000, so
Oh, I see.
it's just anticipating that it's
Run rate.
going to be over budget this year on it.
And that was what, a month ago when I came in, I told you it's gonna be the first time, I think, in 17 years that, based on run rates, that I'm not gonna make budget. Because of the bailiff activity, because of the utilities, food as well. We're seeing a spike in that for reasons that none of us are gonna control. And it's not just corn this year, but a multitude of things. We are housing currently right now for Gonzales, Clayburg, and some feds. It's not the numbers that we historically saw 7 years ago, but we are doing more for surrounding counties than we did 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And I did reach out to San Pat this last week because they are housing inmates, I think, in 3 locations right now. They're overcrowded. And I let him know we've got beds.
So how many vacancies do you have?
Vacant beds? Right now, we're probably running 170. Probably could take 22 inmates, 165, 170 is where we've been running.
What kind of Fed, I'm sorry. The Fed inmates, it seems like it's been pretty low.
It's been low. The feds, 10 or 12. We're housing more out-of-county inmates than we are feds right now.
We need to get the Visitors Bureau to market our jail.
And
And heads
count-
to
count-
bed. We don't see where the bed.
And then they'll come back to us
Might
for
be
bed.
surprised. There might be a lot of people that want to spend the night in jail, but able to get out when they wanted to.
But we've got some that prefer living there, I think is what the problem is. But yeah, the Bureau will come back and ask about our hot tax that we're paying too, because we probably put more heads in beds than anybody
Yeah.
else.
All right. Well, thank you, Sheriff.
Well,
And Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Deputy back there. Okay.
Nanny.
Nanny. Commissioners, y'all got anything? Anything for the auditor? Well, motion? to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Motion a second.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you all. Yes, one. Oh. Oh, yeah.